Hello, lovely viewers. You're watching Bipolar Opposites. I'm your guy, Tim Cubbin. Today, I have a story I'm going to share with you, which I share this every season on October 3rd, but this season is not going to be running on October 3rd, so I thought, you know what? Tell this story now. The most difficult thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. So, I was in college at the time, and I wasn't the best student, but I was a good student. And there was this one guy from one of my classes. He was cool, he was Mr. Popular and everything. We hung out sometimes. And we did some tutoring. We did study group together, and it was really cool. And so one time, I was with him in my dorm room. And, I guess I gave off the wrong signs and everything. And he kissed me. And that was just a major no-no. That I don't do. So, I pushed him away and told him to get the hell out of my room. And I said a whole bunch of words which should never come up in a civilized conversation. And, I got a little too hasty about it. I got hostile. I got really, really nasty. So, I was walking towards my door to kick him out. He grabbed me by the throat, pulled me, and threw me. My head, this scar right here, hit my head on the air conditioning unit. And I fell to the floor. I was just completely stunned. And next I knew, he had taken off his belt and pulled my arms back and tied them behind my back with his belt. And then he reached into my drawer, because he knew where I looked at myself, because, I always pull myself in the top drawer and everything, so he grabbed the belt and tied my legs together. I was just completely stunned. I couldn't move. After all, you get your head hit on an air conditioning unit really, really hard that cuts your head open, you're bleeding. That just, I couldn't do anything. And I really don't want to get into too much details because this is really, really painful, but, he raped me. And just, it was just terrible. It really was. I couldn't do anything. I was just completely stunned. I had nothing. It was, worst thing I've experienced in my entire life. Just the necessity of it. Just Mr. Cool hanging out with a guy who is a self-professed loser. I wasn't cool. I've never been cool in my entire life. And the fact that someone was really cool and to hang out with me, well, that was appealing. And so afterwards, he untied me. And, I just lay there on the floor. Just on the floor. I don't know how long. Then, just the feeling. I felt dirty, unclean. I felt so violated, so wrong. Just, I couldn't do anything. So, I just marched straight into the dormitory bathroom, and I just went into one of the showers, and I turned the water on as hot as it would go. Just as hot as it would go. And I went in the shower, and I scrubbed. I kept scrubbing. I kept scrubbing, as I felt so dirty, so unclean, so violated. And I just scrubbed. I was just scrubbing till I was raw. Then finally, after a while, I just sank down onto the floor and just curled into a fetal position and just let the hot water pour down on me. And watching the blood from my forehead just circle around me down the drain, just circling around and around and around. And I must have spent about 3 hours in that shower. I don't know. Time seemed irrelevant there. So, I never really spoke of it too much for a long time afterwards. Who would believe me? Me, the self-professed loser, against the words of Mr. Cool. No one would believe it. No one would ever believe it. Everyone thought I was lying, so I didn't talk about it for a long, long time afterwards. And it was the hardest thing of my life. It was the hardest thing in my life that I had to go through that. And no one should ever have to go through that. No one should ever, ever, ever have to go through that. And there's no words, there really aren't. So, I spent years not talking about it because, like I said, I was ashamed. It was my fault. I invited it. I said those words. I did everything. I let him into my room. I acted like he was cool. It was just, I blamed myself. I blamed myself, which is actually a very, very common thing with rape. A lot of people, they blame themselves. What they did, they deserved it. I deserved it. I invited it in, so it was my fault. And it was just, like I said, who would believe me? Who would believe me compared to Mr. Popular? No one would believe me. So I just didn't say anything. Should I have? Yes. At this point, well, there's nothing that can be done about it. There's no proof still. But you know what? I'm telling you the story, and it's true. So you know. So, just so you know, rape is not just a man raping a woman. A man can be raped by another man. So it's not just that. People don't quite seem to grasp that. So, here's my story. So, now you know, so, let me say, if you're raped, you know what? You're not alone. And don't be afraid to say something. Do not be afraid to say something. Sometimes your word doesn't seem to count, but you know what? Go for a rape kit. Go to a hospital. Do something. Find a way to prove it. Unlike I did. So that's pretty much the most serious thing I can ever tell you on this show. So, now you know the story, and you know what to do. So next time coming, out.